Okay, and this is the last day of July 2025. This is week 6, and tonight's episode is all about aliens. So we're going to be talking about aliens in biology, and we'll be talking about aliens in the Bible. We'll be talking about all kinds of crazy things. So let's begin. How many of you, well, the two of you, um, do you believe that there might be alien life out there somewhere?
50-50. I don't
Bethany says no. Bethany, why do you say no?
I think that if the Lord created, extraterrestrial life or whatever, that it would have been part of the creation account in Genesis. Like we would have seen it in scripture somewhere. I mean, I know Second Peter talks about aliens, but that's talking about us as Christians in the world. That's not talking about,
Right.
you know, life outside of the earth. So that's why I don't think there is.
What if I can prove you wrong?
Please, by all means.
God made angels, seraphim, cherubim, the higher angels, all of those creatures, those creations, I won't call them creatures, those creations of God were not born on this planet, do not live on this planet, live somewhere else entirely, and therefore, by the scientific definition of aliens, they are aliens, right? So God made things other than humans. He certainly made the animals, and they're not human. God made all the bugs in the world and all the bacteria in the world and even the viruses in the world. He made all of those things. So why couldn't he make life elsewhere? And think about this. What if the Bible is our story and it's only meant for us? And maybe there is a Bible somewhere else out there. Or I want you to think of this. And Jocelyn's looking at her husband like, you're crazy. What if there was a planet out there that had intelligent life on it that God made, and they never ate the apple? They never fell. And they to this day have a relationship with God that we missed out on because of our fall in the Garden of Eden. How humbling does that make you feel? How humble does that make you feel if there are beings out there that know God in a richer sense than we do? What do you think? Makes you feel small. Okay.
I don't know.
It would make anybody feel small to be in the presence of someone who has talked to God in a normal way today rather than having to pray about it. Our fall separated us from God, as we know, from our scripture, from our lessons, from our sermons. We know all this. And this fall alienated us from God and took us apart from him. And we needed Jesus because of that. We needed something. We needed that bridge to bring us back to our creator. Um, Aliens might be the same way. Maybe they don't know God at all. What if an alien ship? Oh, have you heard about the alien ship? There is supposedly, according to a Harvard professor, says that there is a something coming into Earth in 2032 and will pass very near us. And he says it's on a trajectory that can only be done by a sentient being, by a thinking being. And he says it's probably not aliens, it's probably a comet, but we don't know. And if an alien is coming and honing in on Earth, it can't be good for us. But what if these aliens landed on Earth, had no understanding of God at all, kind of like the Borg on Star Trek? Um, what if they had no understanding and we, with our relationship to Jesus, were the bridge for them? How would that make you feel?
I don't know. It's hard to like think of it in a way of, oh, I would feel this way because if that were real, like if there were, aliens, if there are aliens, like again, I don't think it's necessarily specified in scripture that it's for, the Savior's for them. Jesus' sacrifice would be for them. Like it's not for animals. Animals don't have souls. Like it's
Right.
specifically for humans. So then would we even need to be that bridge to them? Is kind of what I'm
Mm-hmm.
getting at.
Mm-hmm. That's a scary thought, that there would be beings out there that had no soul. Okay, or you've heard of the theory of evolution that um, primary bacteria spontaneously came about, and all life, comes from these bacteria, these archaeons. Um, I don't believe in that. I believe God made everything, but he did use a pattern. He used the cell as a pattern. And all living things have cells. We learned that in week number 1. All living things have cells. All living things share certain tissue systems that make them viable. Like all mammals are pretty much the same. We all have lungs, we all have a heart, we all have a liver, we all have a pancreas, we all have systems in our bodies that make us viable to live, make us, a living thing. Bugs all have a thorax, an abdomen, a head, mandibles. Some have wings, some don't. Segmented legs. They all follow a pattern. And God used these patterns in multitude of ways. Our God is very creative, and he used these patterns to make life in many different forms. So for me personally, I don't see why God would not make something somewhere else. Maybe we were the end all, but I don't think that we're that much. I mean, he loves us. He gave us Jesus. He wants us in heaven with him. He wants us not to go to hell. He did everything he possibly could to make it possible for us to come to heaven to be with him. But I don't think that our creative God stopped there. I I think that somewhere out there, there's got to be something else and somebody else. So why have we never met these people? Well, there are many, many reasons why. It has to be close enough for us to have contact. Well, the nearest star is 87 years away. So that's that's a long ways away. Um, the they have to be sentient. They have to be thinking beings. We couldn't communicate with bacteria. And if we found bacteria on another planet, that would be a start, but we couldn't have much conversation with them. They're not going to invite us over for tea or anything like that because they just don't have the brain yet. So they'd have to be sentient beings. They would have to be the type of beings that did not blow themselves up. We're on the verge of doing that with all of our wars, our atomic bombs. We have to be very, very, very careful about what it is that we do on our planet. they also would have to be very careful about what they do and don't do on their planet. So they have to survive um, their own interpersonal or intercontinental skirmishes and things like that. They also have to be the kind that have not already destroyed themselves or gone extinct. Remember that we are just a species on this planet. We're just a species, and we could go extinct like any other species on this planet. Um, there could be a COVID virus out there waiting for us that we have no way of stopping, and it could wipe us all out. Look at the Black Death during the Middle Ages. It wiped out a third of Europe, a third of Europe, millions and millions and millions of people killed just from one virus. Same thing could happen now. And with our ability to fly and to move very quickly around the planet, we have the danger of spreading any viruses very quickly. So our alien friends also would have to have not become extinct or killed themselves off. All of these things, if you take a billion stars out there, and there are billions and billions and billions of stars, but say take 10 billion stars and you take away one tenth, one tenth, one tenth, one tenth, there's still a great many chances out there that there is life out there. Um, will we ever see it in our lifetime? That's the big question. Um, and what would they look like? You and I look like we do because of God's pattern and because we live on the earth. Every square inch of your body has been built to withstand 14 pounds on every single inch of your body. This is the weight of a column of air on you. Just the air itself weighs 14.8 pounds per square inch on your body. But your skeleton and your muscles have grown up fighting that, and you are able to stand up in the atmosphere. Otherwise, the atmosphere would just squish you. Kind of like being down under the ocean. If you go down too far, you get squished by the weight of the water on top of you. You're not made for that. But we're made to stand up on the land and walk on the land on our 2 feet in the atmosphere with all of this weight on us. And we are able to do that because God made us to withstand our skeletons, to withstand that amount of pressure. Our aliens might arrive here and just get just splatted right away because they can't take the atmosphere. There is a very good science fiction show, and what is the name of it? I can't remember the name of it. It'll come to me. But anyway, it has people mining the asteroid belt, and they're called deep spacers. And they live in the asteroid belt. And because they grew up, were born in space and grew up in space, they're long and thin. Their bones are longer because there's no gravity pulling on them to make their bones dense. And then they come here from the asteroid belt down to Earth, and they're like, they can't breathe or anything like that because they're used to zero or very little gravity. And so it could be that our alien friends or enemies, who knows, could come here and get squashed. It could be that their planet has higher gravity and they could, it would be like living on a bubble or in a bubble because their bones and their systems could take the weight of the earth, the gravity pull of the earth, and they could move very quickly because their bones are stronger. That's how Superman works. Superman came from Krypton, which had a higher gravity, and he became stronger than any person on Earth simply because of the gravity of his planet. Now, the problem with Krypton is Krypton got destroyed, and he grew up here on Earth. And the longer you stay at a place, the more you change to adapt. So you would be actually adapting to the gravity of Earth. So Superman being able to fly and all like that, that's comic book. Um, because eventually he would have been no more than Clark Kent. His muscles just wouldn't have worked out, his bones would have lost density, and he would have become more Earth-like. So anyway, that's pretty much it on aliens. I want to know what you guys think now. What do you feel? What do you believe? Bethany says she doesn't think they're out there. What about the changes in humanity over time that have made us stronger and bigger and taller than we used to be? What about that? The changes that we have?
Like, what do we believe in that?
Yeah.
Our perspective on evolution, like micro and macro, kind of.
Yeah. Micro and macro evolution.
Mm. Well, in week 5, like that little journal, I got to
Uh-huh.
like you get to kind of talked about it, but I think it's really complicated, and I don't know if I even have anything concrete that I believe. But even thinking about microevolution, but maybe like species aren't as concrete as we think. Like some people believe that dinosaurs evolved into like a lizard or a bird. So so I don't know. I think that keeping my mind closed to any of the possibilities is just worse for me because there's so many things that do not know. Like my mind is so limited to what God can do. So yeah, it's hard for me to have a concrete answer on anything, honestly.
It is hard to have a concrete
Yeah.
answer on this. Bethany, what do you think?
I definitely believe in like microevolution and survival of the fittest fitting in to God's design. And I kind of talked about that in my discussion post as well.
Mhm.
I really hit on survival of the fittest mainly because I wanted to kind of break it down like scripturally of like why I believe that. Um but it's hard for me to picture macroevolution fitting into God's design, mainly because a lot of the macroevolution idealists form around Darwinism and the there is no creator kind of thought process. Now,
Mhm.
I mean, I haven't necessarily done a whole like I haven't had a doctorate over it or anything. So like I mean, there could be maybe something that I'm just not seeing or whatever towards that. But I mean, like you said, you look at even just humanity itself, let alone different types of dog breeds or whatever. And like we have changed like over time. There used to be a lot more short people, mainly because a lot more people used to be more hunched over because they just weren't evolved as much or whatever. And they used to be like, they didn't necessarily walk around with shoes all the time. So they probably had way more calloused feet than we do now, just things like that, where it's like, not only do our structures evolve, but also our minds are evolving into greater things. Like, that's one of the reasons God split up the people and made their languages all different during when Babylon was a thing, was because God talked to himself and was like, "Hey man, they're becoming to evolve too quickly. So let's just break this up right now." And so like our
Right.
minds evolve, so more things, smartphones, laptops, all that type of stuff. So yeah.
Well, that's a good thought. And one of the things that you brought up about micro and macro evolution, that is in the Bible. God said, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. In order to do that, organisms must change over time to meet the changing environment of the earth. Animals are developing the ability to sweat in their skin because, and animals generally don't sweat. They pant in order to get the heat out. But they are beginning to sweat through their skin and develop rudimentary sweat glands because um, the climate is getting hotter and hotter, and their panting can't take it. So we're developing more and more sweat because we can't take it anymore. We have air conditioning. We use our brains, and our brains are evolving as well. The more blue light you put into your brain, this is going to hurt people. This saying is going to hurt. Okay, the more blue light you put in with your phone, your tablet, your Xbox, your television, and all like that, the dumber you get. Because the blue light affects the neurons in your brain and it keeps them from being able to create synapses that share chemical thoughts in the brain. So when they tell you turn your phone off, turn your blue light off 30 minutes before going to bed, they mean it. And I'm a bad one because I read on a Kindle. And so up until the time that I fall asleep, I've got my Kindle on. And I'm getting dumber and dumber the older I get. So it's just a good idea to watch the micro evolutions that are happening based on our technology as well, because that will change our brains to be something that is not necessarily the way God intended it to. I mean, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and all those people invented these machines, but who says that the idea for the machines came from God? Anything that comes from man is not necessarily good. Some things are. Compassion is good. Medical treatments that save lives, that's good. But maybe having, this little device right here that's always by me, maybe that's not the best thing in the world. And man made that. So we have to watch out for that. Okay, so Kyle, we were talking about aliens. I'm going to hit you up with a big question now. Do you believe that there are aliens out there in the stars somewhere? That God made
Uh,
aliens?
I don't know. I feel like if we if we're here, there might be something out there, but I honestly don't know.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. We don't know. God could have made aliens. God couldn't have made aliens. He made the angels, and they're
I
they're pretty
mean,
alien enough.
right.
Okay.
But I don't know. I just like having just to think of like I don't know if God did make aliens, so that I don't know if again I feel like if we could be here, then something else other it doesn't even have to be like alien wise. It's just like they could be out there too.
Uh-huh. And they wouldn't have to look like us either.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cherubim and the seraphim don't look like humans. Angels kind of take on human shape, but seraphim and cherubim don't even look human. So, they've got the one with the four faces around them and the eyes on their wings that are blinking all the time. That's kind of scary to think about them. They would be frightening things to see. Okay, so any other thoughts about aliens? None? All right then. That's the end of week 6, and that's the end of our live sessions. You've gone through every one of them, and Bethany's like, she really is insane. She this is what
Not completely insane, just everyone has a different like viewpoint. Like everyone just has a different worldview and different. So I don't think you're insane. I just think you have a different worldview and different like opinion and th belief than I do.
Well,
respect that.
it's
Yeah.
not so much beliefs, it's ideas. You know, to
Yeah.
think outside the box is one of the greatest gifts that God ever gave us. Because
Mhm.
without that, we would not even have thought that we needed God. We would
Mhm.
not think that we need Jesus. So being able to think outside the box is something that he gave us. And that makes it a good thing. But
Yeah.
sometimes we do go down rabbit holes that are just silly. And occasionally, you know, we follow the trail through the woods and it leads to the little gingerbread house and gets us in trouble. So but
I
it's
definitely like I think that it's like it's not crazy to think about it and like, have the ideas like you said, because if we were just be like, no, there's not. Like, I'm not saying no, there's not. I'm just saying I don't think that there is. But if I was to say no, there isn't, then in my opinion, I'd be putting God in a box that fits my mold of what he might be like or would create or wouldn't create. And that's not my place because like he's too big of a God to be fit in a box. Like, so I'm
amen to
definitely
that.
like, there's, I don't think that, oh, there are, oh, there aren't. I just don't believe that, like, I just don't think that there are,
Uh-huh.
you know?
You just don't know.
Yeah, you just don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. And
Yeah.
we won't know until one of these days it either proves itself to be true or we get to heaven and God says, "No, you're the last ones I made. You're the ones that I love the dearest, and I stopped after you." I continued making planets and stars because they're fun. You know, who doesn't want to make a glowing ball of gas, you know? But I think that God in his wisdom would have compassion on us if we ever met our alien neighbors or anything like that. I think he would have compassion. I would certainly pray for that compassion. And understanding because we don't want to wipe out the aliens that would come and visit. We would want to see where are they, you know, let the church lead us in this. Where are they with God? Um, and then if they don't have God, maybe that's our job is to spread the word. You know, that's what we were supposed to do, go forth and spread the word. So maybe our next chapter of spreading the word is coming to us. Who knows? We'll just have to see. Okay, so I will let everybody go. Y'all have been a whole lot of fun to be with, and wish you the best of success in the rest of your class. And now Jocelyn and her husband will have this discussion on aliens on planet Earth. So I will talk to y'all later then. And if you need me for anything, just email me or give me a call. Okay, bye-bye.
I just want to apologize for being a little late.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, I got caught up in doing lawn work, so I was like, I looked at my phone, I was like, oh, I gotta go.
All right. Well, I would go back and once this thing gets rendered and gets posted, watch the beginning 10 minutes and things like that. Hello.
Oh,
Yes.
I got cats too. I totally understand what's going on right
Uh-huh.
now.
Yep, she has to be with me all the time. This is Charlotte Marie. Look at
Aw,
those little blue eyes.
blue eyes, yeah.
Yep, she's a pain. Okay.
But
Well,
yeah, I'll definitely go watch the rest of the beginning of it and then
yeah,
yeah.
because it was wild. Yeah, we were talking about aliens and made aliens. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. I'll talk to you later then.
Yes, ma'am. Bye.
Bye bye.